Story 1. I think over 95% of people do not have the discipline to live below their means, avoid spending what they do not have, and consistently save. They let their impulses drive them instead of reason. One could buy a new television with a credit card and just pay the minimum each month, or consistently save a certain amount each month to reach their goal. Story 2. Stay out of traps such as drugs, gambling, retail therapy, lifestyle creep, bad loans, and credit card debt. If you avoid these and save money, it is not too difficult to become financially stable. If you are American, hope you never need to go to the hospital. Story 3. You need to make more money than you spend. The trick is getting to that point. There are some ways to lower your costs. These days, it is easy to subscribe to a service and forget about the monthly subscription charge. Reviewing your credit card statements can help you find such charges. Also, consider where you buy food or gas. Are there places with lower prices? I have a grocery store nearby that has an arrangement with one brand of gas station. Every $100 I spend on groceries gives me 10 cents off per gallon the next time I buy gas. Even with that station, prices can vary by over 25 cents at different locations, so I have to be selective. My mother has had the habit for over 60 years of getting a newspaper with grocery store flyers and comparing prices for items like hamburger or vegetables. She will travel to certain stores to buy ingredients when the cost is lower. For housing, there is usually not much you can do. Finding cheaper rent is often impossible. It may be possible to reduce costs by having a roommate, but selecting a good one can be tricky. Income is where you want to see the most change, of course. For some jobs, it can be tough. I receive merit increases every year at my corporate information technology job, but sometimes they have been less than the rate of inflation, meaning I have lost buying power. Looking for other jobs with better pay and benefits is worthwhile if your current pay and benefits are not sufficient. Making a budget will likely help. Even if you only record how much money you earn and where you spend it, you are ahead of people who don't know how much they spend. Realizing how much of your income goes to housing, transportation, food, or entertainment gives you awareness. When you reach a point where you spend less than you make, you have money to use for other things. You might invest in retirement funds, put it into a savings account, or consider other investments that may be riskier but offer higher returns. You could also decide to spend it on something you need, like a new computer. It is important to make informed decisions. When you have discretionary funds because your essential expenses are covered, you are doing better than merely breaking even. Stable finances mean covering your expenses, but price increases can still harm your situation. You want to get ahead, have savings to handle the unexpected, or enjoy something fun like a nice vacation. Story 4. Pretty much what everyone is saying. Make money and make a budget. Make sure you budget everything, make it realistic, and stick to it. Trust your budget and your investments. Do not gamble on the stock market. Put money in either a high-yield savings account or a money market account for short-term growth, and for long-term, make sure to invest in your retirement via Roth individual retirement account or your company 401k. Do not eat out often. Do not try to cook some extravagant meal every night. Shop for low-cost ingredients, and do not go on shopping sprees either. You will learn more and pick up more as you go. Story 5. Live below your means. Save money. Optionally, invest wisely and let it grow. Story 6. Generational wealth leads to a better childhood and upbringing, improved education, more connections for obtaining work, better jobs, an overall higher quality of life, and a safety net whenever things go wrong, all of which contribute to greater financial stability. Story 7. Make a budget. Make a lot of money. Those are the two ways that helped me, mostly the first one though. Ideally, you make enough money to pay all your bills, put money in liquid savings, put money in retirement, buy food until your next payday, and still have money left over to go places and buy things. Too much of those last two things, or not enough to do all of those things, and you have to budget to figure out what levers to pull and how to allocate the money you have. Overall, budgeting is great to know where all your money goes regardless. Story 8. Get married and have two incomes. On a completely unrelated note, I have accepted that financial stability is not in the cards, and retirement feels like high-speed lead. Story 9. Act frugal. Do not buy designer shirts. Do not get soda when having lunch. Usually pack lunch. Take toilet paper, bananas, and any other edible items from hotels. Story 10. Don't do things you can't afford. Financing luxury items such as brand new fancy cars, boats, recreational vehicles, motorcycles, snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles, gambling, eating out, and food delivery services is unwise. My wife and I earn above average income for our area, yet we live modestly. Both cars are paid off and have been for over 5 years. We eat 98% of our meals at home, pack our lunch for work, and invest a significant portion of our take-home pay in our high-yield savings account, Roth individual retirement account, and employer-sponsored retirement plans. I see people who are always broke, and I find it amusing because they get paid and spend their money unwisely, in my opinion. Story 11. I am nowhere near financially stable, but recently I have adopted the mindset that if I do not have enough money to buy the same thing 4 times, I do not buy it. Story 12. That is a very loose term. It means something different to different people. However, there are 3 answers. Spend less, make more, or combine the 2. Then invest. Story 13. Earn more if you can. If you have the skills to move up at work, talk to your supervisor about extra tasks you can take on to show you are willing to prepare and take risks. If you receive a promotion, put the difference between your old and new salary into savings. Many long-term studies show that a buy and hold strategy works very well, arguably better than any other strategy. People like Warren Buffett recommend investing 90% in the S&P 500 and 10% in bonds. I am not a financial advisor, so I cannot give financial advice. However, if you decide to invest your savings, it has the potential to grow over time. Learn to recognize when you are being influenced. Whether it is YouTube or your neighbor who bought a new boat, people tend to compare themselves to others within their social circle and then spend accordingly. Recognize this process and make your own decisions. Do you really need a boat, a camera, or a video game? Pay yourself first. Put your savings away before everything else. Reduce your expenses. Start by documenting everything. Even if you use a debit card for all purchases and track your transactions in a spreadsheet, you will see where your money is going. Cut back on things that are not important. A common area to reduce spending is dining at restaurants. Choose your partners carefully. You can be poor on your own. You do not need help to do that. Money conflicts are among the top reasons couples have problems. Be patient. This takes time and discipline. Your future self will be very glad your present self did a good job. Story 14. Do not live in overpriced places. Do not overpay for anything. Invest only in things that will be profitable. Always save at least something from every paycheck. Story 15. Making saving money a budgeted expense. I simply transfer a dollar amount of my take-home pay to a separate account at the time of payment. I cannot even remember the login for that account. I do not consider it as money that can be spent. This is in addition to my retirement plan contributions. Story 16. Create a budget and stick to it. Make sure anything at all, is going to savings and stays there. Do not treat tax returns or other cash influxes like free money. Save that money and leave it alone. Once you have your emergency savings set up, create new categories for purchases you want to make, such as vacations, motorcycles, hobbies, and so on. It took until I was in my early 30s to have any of this in place, but it is doable. Story 17. Whatever you do, outwork your coworkers. Ask for more responsibility before you ask for more money. Move to something better if your efforts aren't recognized. Many people tell themselves they are working hard or are so valuable they cannot be replaced, but most of the time, they are lying to themselves. Unrecognized value is rare in business. If you make your boss's job easier, you will generally be rewarded. Avoid debt. Cars are poor investments. Avoid credit cards unless you are good at budgeting. Then use them as much as possible for the rewards, paying them off every month. Finance nothing that doesn't make you money, and even then, be very careful. Live lean. Reduce expenses everywhere you can. Cut your phone plan to a cheaper provider and keep your phone until it no longer works. Cut your internet to the cheapest plan you can live with. Use free alternatives instead of subscribing to streaming services. Eat at home and cook for yourself. Shop at discount stores and thrift shops, use coupons, and wait for sales. You can freeze many types of food, so stock up when prices are marked down. Go out sparingly. Do not buy things you do not absolutely need. Repeat that 5 more times. No vacations, concerts, or other experiences until you have a significant emergency fund of 1 year's worth of expenses. Then, take 10% off the top of your income and stash it in a high-yield savings account. Set this up with your direct deposit and forget about it. When you reach 1 year's worth of income in your emergency fund, set up 2 investment accounts: an individual retirement account and a general investment account. Use risk-based mutual funds based on your age for the individual retirement account. For the general account, invest in the S&P 500 index or a combination of other indexes. Allocate the same 10%, split 50-50 between these accounts, and forget about it. If you are offered a 401k, contribute enough to max out your company's match. Invest aggressively in this account. If you leave your job, roll the 401k into your individual retirement account and otherwise do not monitor it. For any bonuses or extra income, keep 50% for yourself to have fun. A fun, high-yield savings account is good for budgeting. The other 50% goes to your general investment account. Everyone wants a sacrifice-free, easy route to big income and wealth. It does not work that way. It requires hard work, dedication, and most importantly, delayed gratification. Story 18. Try to avoid using a credit card. Keep it at home in a safe place for emergencies. Also, have your employer deduct a set amount from your paycheck and consider investing it. What you see, you won't spend. I always had a minor side job. I jokingly called it my beer money job. It is a good habit to pad the bank account. Story 19. Unpopular opinion, but I think that for 90% of people, Dave Ramsey is the answer. Dave Ramsey community. Yes, he is a bit extreme. My wife and I still have debt, but we have dinner out once a week for date night. I also still have hobbies. You just have to keep a check on the outflow. I just paid off 3 debts this month. Story 20. Always live below your means to the best of your ability. Don't go for the Lexus. Get the Camry equivalent for far less. If your car is paid off, keep it long-term instead of taking on a new loan. When buying a house, understand that the limit is just a calculation that doesn't consider the real world, so stay a decent chunk below it. Pass on that new phone and unnecessary purchases, and focus on your needs. If you're type A, spreadsheet all of your spending and income to see where your money is going, as sometimes you don't realize how much things like eating out and travel are eating up your income. At a certain point, as you build your nest egg, you can start taking advantage of high-yield savings accounts and buying dividend-paying stocks, using your wealth to create passive income. Takes time, but you will get there if you try. Story 21. Make a budget. It does not need to be super detailed, but you need to track money in and money out, and ensure you do things like adding savings and investments first, or they will not ever happen. Build up an emergency fund. Then, when you either reduce money out or increase money in, immediately add that to investment or savings. Do not just increase your standard of living. That is a bad path. It is not just about earning more money. You need to discipline yourself on how to use that additional money well. Otherwise, you can have a high income and be broke. A major factor for a lot of people is debt, and an important part of financial stability is minimizing debt. Look up the debt snowball for one effective strategy, though it is not the only option. Debt is a constant drain, and you want as little as possible. Story 22. You have to become highly aware of the money coming into and going out of your account. I kept a running total in my head of what should be in my bank account at all times. I checked my statements regularly to confirm that the number in my head was correct. If the number in my statements was too high, I investigated why. 9 times out of 10, it was because I had forgotten to pay something or the payment had not yet been processed. Most people fail themselves by not reviewing their spending. They see extra money and do not check it. That is a surefire way to fall behind. You also have to accept that you cannot afford certain things, even if you have the cash in your account. There were nights when I had no energy after work but still had to walk past takeout spots and cook because I needed to avoid spending money. I had the cash but actively chose not to spend it. I missed out on many things that would have been enjoyable, but building up finances was more beneficial in the long run. Finally, you need to make more money while keeping the same budget. My budget 10 years ago was about $10 per day after rent and utilities, not including food. I received consistent raises and better paying jobs over the years, but I never adjusted the $10 per day. As I made more money, I was automatically saving the excess because I stuck to the old budget. The overall goal is to have some cushion. Emergencies and setbacks will happen. You want to build your savings when there is no emergency so you will be ready when they inevitably occur. Story 23. Budget and save. Save until you have a substantial safety net. I refused to buy anything until I paid off my car years ago, except for food. I wore socks with holes and shirts with holes. This allowed me to continue pretending I had a car payment after it was paid off by putting the money into savings. That gave me a safety net. Then you become more stable when things break or you need to spend money in emergencies. Story 24. Everyone says spend less than you make, which is Finance 101. Another major complication can be entering a relationship. Expenses typically increase for men in relationships, and it is a slippery slope trying to maintain financial stability with the expectations of dates, trips, extra groceries, increased rent for a bigger apartment, and so on. In the long term, a dual-income household with healthy financial habits, plus owning your home, is the single best path to financial stability. Getting to that point can be financially precarious, though. Story 25. Spend less than you earn. Stop comparing yourself to others when it comes to possessions and vacations. Find inexpensive hobbies. Do not buy brand new cars, and avoid car loans as much as possible. Cars are guaranteed to drop in value, so financing something that loses resale value can be a trap. Avoid being pressured by friends or family into things you cannot afford. Some people go on vacations they cannot really afford just because their relatives are going to Hawaii and pressure them to come along. Story 26. $1,000 emergency fund. Pay off all debt from smallest to largest, excluding the house. Build a 6-month emergency fund. Invest 15%. Pay off the house early. Yes, it's Dave Ramsey, and now I am about 4 years away from paying off my house. I am 28 years old. Story 27. Write out a budget and stick to it. Change your zero to be 1,000. Anything left at the end of the month over 1,000 goes into savings. Story 28. It's very hard in the United States, but you have to ignore most of the false information you are shown, especially with cell phones and social media now available all the time. Keep your bills low and your money high. Invest in boring index funds consistently. Do not day trade or invest in meme stocks. If you want to gamble, that is fine, but realize you are likely to lose, similar to going to a casino. My truck is old enough to drink. It will probably outlive me. I would rather buy something that appreciates. Story 29. Someone already said it. Spend less than you make. Also, get a second job to pay down your debt faster. Don't let debt exceed your ability to pay it off. Story 30. If you consider yourself a business and your job as a source of income, first find ways to reduce expenses. After that, find ways to increase your revenue. Story 31. Stop spending. Start saving. Get out of debt. There is no getting rich quick. We all want instant gratification, but you have to implement those things and let time do its work. Took me too long to realize this. Had I realized sooner, I would already have $50,000 to $100,000 in the bank and could buy a house. It really just takes time, but 2 weeks between paychecks feels like an eternity. If only I could come up with a hobby or side hustle to earn a little extra in my free time. Story 32. Invest in assets. Governments will continue printing money, which will reduce the value of your cash savings and salary. Story 33. Examine your standard of living and realize there is a difference between needs, nice to have, and comfort. Start by cutting out anything you do not truly need. This gives you a baseline. Then add the nice to haves and comfort as you can afford them. That is, when you can pay for them 100% upfront, not financing daily items. Save enough to put 20% or more down for a house. That, and perhaps a car, should be the only things financed. Also, practice not keeping up with the Joneses. Story 34. Make savings where you can. Invest your savings wisely. Research tax-efficient ways to invest. Don't spend money on things you don't need. For instance, buy a car that gets you from point A to point B. It does not need to be stunning or overly impressive. In the United Kingdom, set up a stocks and shares individual savings account, invest in index funds, or find a bank that will manage your investments for you. In the United States, consider a Roth individual retirement account. Other Western countries likely have similar options. Working hard and finding a job that pays well is important too. Story 35. Work hard to increase your income streams. Job, side hustles. Rent a room in your home if you own one. Anything. When you increase your income, maintain your expenses. Do not buy more just because you make more. Invest that extra money in something that yields extra income. Repeat. Story 36. Income. Make as much as you can consistently. I am a doctor and know roughly how much I make each month, bonuses and other incentives notwithstanding. This allows me to plan for investments, purchases, and similar expenses which, if timed correctly, end up saving me even more money. That is stability. Story 37. Live within your means and avoid debt. Live on a budget and stick to it. Resist impulsive spending on things you cannot afford. Prioritize paying off any existing debt. Allocate a percentage of your earnings directly to a savings or retirement account so that you never see it as spendable cash. Retirement accounts grow significantly over time if you do not withdraw from them. These days, there is no margin for error. Good luck. Story 38. Do not buy or finance impractical cars. Aside from true poverty cases, I truly believe that impractical cars are the reason most people struggle with money. A car is a functional object to meet a specific need, and that is all you should treat it like. Story 39. Some tips on spending less than you earn. Buy a used car with cash so you don't have a car payment with interest. Do your due diligence to ensure it was well taken care of. You can drive high-quality Hondas, Toyotas, etc. for 300,000 miles. Don't buy a house you can't afford with a 7% mortgage. Pay off your credit cards in full every month to avoid paying 29% interest on things you should only be buying with money you have. Also, get a 2 to 4% cashback card so that you are getting a discount on everything you buy with cash. Amazon Prime has a very good one. Most banks offer special credit cards with 4% or more cashback if you have $100,000 or more in the bank with them. Only buy your clothes from Goodwill. Drive to nicer areas and you'll find many high-quality clothes for $2 to $6 per item. Buy the items you need from Facebook Marketplace. For example, we needed a grill. I got a used Weber grill for $50 that just needed a new igniter installed for $25, which I bought from Amazon. I saved $400 doing this. Learn how to cook so that you make higher quality food than restaurants can produce. You save 50% on average by cooking your meals. If you do meal prep in bulk, it's even more. Save your money. Don't invest your money in unwise trending items. Story 41. Pay off all consumer debt. Have an emergency fund, some margin, and an amount in a brokerage account. The exact numbers will vary. Stabilize your housing costs. If you buy a modest home, you can ride market fluctuations. Renting subjects you to market changes, and currently, it is a bad time to be a renter. Pay off your house or ensure the mortgage is a small part of your income. Story 41. To make money, you have to spend money. Consider not only the financial consequences of bad habits, but all the consequences and stop wasting time. Withdraw cash for all possible purchases so it hurts more when you spend it, as you physically see how fast it can disappear. Invest in your own skills and learn a trade. Build your own clientele while working a wage job and create supplemental income. Purchase physical precious metals as a hedge against inflation. Invest 10% of your income into a proven index fund such as the Standard & Poor's 500. Invest a set dollar amount at set intervals using dollar cost averaging with a diverse portfolio, with no more than 10% of it being cryptocurrency. Do not worry about status and keep living like you are broke, even if you become rich. A self-made millionaire is more likely to shop at flea markets than at department stores because that mindset is exactly why they have money. Story 42. 1. Do not spend money you do not have on things that do not appreciate. Keep expenses as low as possible. Spend less than you earn. Have an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of expenses. Invest the rest. Story 43. Do not spend more than $50 on a girlfriend. Stop spending money on recreational activities. Odds are you are just bored and do not need it. Do not let people borrow money. Being nice and generous rarely pays off. Realize who you are spending money on and question if it is your responsibility to pay for them. Invest in a productive hobby that you can later turn into a side job. Ask for and research programs or different plans that will save you money on expenses such as utility bills, phone, internet, or auto insurance. My life hack is to go online and look up active class action lawsuits for products or services you may have subscribed to or purchased previously. Some only require your signature, even without proof of purchase, to apply and receive a settlement payment. It is free money that many people never claim. Avoid women like the plague if you want to save money for your future. It is easy for men to fall into the trap of thinking, if I spend more on her, she will love me more and give me more affection. The more you spend on her, the less she respects you. Story 44. Being financially stable is easy. Being financially independent has been a struggle for me, and I am 50 years old. I should be able to retire by now. Story 45. I figure save $300 a month for the next car, or $3,600 a year. 10% of gross income is long-term savings, and then 30% of gross income is healthy for rent. So let's say you're living with your parents and aren't paying rent, and you're making $50,000 a year. $5,000 a year is 10%, $15,000 is 30%. $20,000 a year is $1,667 a month, plus the $300 you're saving for your next car. So you should be saving $1,967 a month. Then when you do move out and pay rent, you have healthy spending habits. Now let's say you want to buy something that will put you below that amount. It can be okay as a treat. It can't be habitual, and you still need to at minimum save that 10% plus $3,600 a year, assuming you live somewhere where you need a car. Or let's say your rent is 40% of your gross income. Then you need to watch your spending and keep saving that 10% plus the car savings, plus try to save a little more for when you need something like new clothing. Story 46. 1. Get a good, stable job. Create a budget and stick to it. Live within your means. Set aside money from every paycheck to both save and invest, even if it is a small amount. If you cannot, revisit steps 1, 2, and 3 to see if you can improve any of them. Story 47. Save money by putting it in a high-yield savings account. Learn how to cook at home to avoid eating out often. Watch videos about investing and using trading sites like M1 Finance or Robinhood. Avoid paying 5 digits for vehicles. Story 48. Stability is the characteristic of having regular income combined with the ability to absorb an emergency expense. That almost always means having some short-term savings. Additionally, you will want to move toward your retirement goals, which means more savings. Ultimately, the secret is no secret at all. Your income needs to exceed your spending. Story 49. You wait for this experience to decide if you receive more money through your employment or investments. Story 50. I think you don't want to do what it takes because if you want it, it's not hard. 1. List all your bills. Eliminate all unnecessary spending. Don't eat out. Make all your food. Subtract expenses from income and put the remainder in a new account. Get a side job with a clear goal in mind. Work at the side job after your main job and on weekends. If you want to be stable, you don't have time for TV or scrolling social media. Maintain this side hustle until you reach your goal. For example, to save $20,000 in 1 year, you need to save about $385 a week. With a basic job at a food store making $18 an hour, that's about 20 to 25 hours a week. 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday, and 4 hours during a weekday evening. Once you hit $20,000, start looking for a new day job to increase your income. Then you can ease up on frugal living but continue saving steadily each month. Every 6 months, you can resume the side hustle to grow your savings, alternating 6 months on and 6 months off. Follow this plan, and you will have $20,000 to $30,000 in savings within 1 to 1.5 years. Put this money in the stock market or a high-yield savings account, and your assets will grow by $800 to $1,200 a year without extra effort, possibly double that amount if you invest in a solid exchange-traded fund. Story 51. It is pretty simple. You want to increase your income and investments while decreasing your unnecessary spending. Using a credit card for essential spending is beneficial. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.